So, welcome everybody to the Frame Podcast. We've got Femi and Dewan as usual, and we've got special guest for the third time now. We've got Manny J. How are you doing, Manny?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm happy to be here, man, and chill with you guys. Never good to see you guys.
It's really great to have you on. We were just talking just slightly off camera just before Femi joined. We were talking about we'll just carry on with this. The perception you were just talking about some of the research and studies you've been doing about the perception of Nigeria in an African context and then a British context as well. So I thought that'll be an interesting thing to start on.
Okay. Well, before we started recording, I was trying to talk about the perception of Nigeria, or Nigerians, pretty much, in the British context. And I was saying that the key perception that I have found so far is one of difference. And by that, I mean a British person or somebody who's not very familiar with the Nigerian culture, who has not lived in Nigeria or has not really interacted with Nigerian people, looking out from a distance, or looking out from, Britain at Nigerians and what we're doing, and really thinking, this is kind of unusual. This is really, maybe it's strange, it's weird. I'm not really familiar with it. So the key difference I found so far is pretty much typified that way, and I'm still exploring, and it's really exciting and scary at the same time.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
What do you think, Femi? The scariness, is that something that you can relate to?
Well, yeah, in a way, because when I first came into the country, and obviously, and just saw how different everything was in comparison to how things were at home. It was a bit scary at first, I won't lie. Like, I was like, whoa, this, there are like a lot of different people that I've never seen before, different kind of people, and even the weather was different, because I think I came in when it was during the winter, and my first thought was like, when I was in the airport, and it was cold, and I said to myself, I was thinking that, wait, and no, actually not even in the airport, when I got outside, it was cold. So I was saying that, wait, do they have air conditioning outside? Because because it was really cold. So I was just saying to myself,
not used to that weather, innit?
Exactly. And I was like, is air conditioning outside? Why is it so cold everywhere? And in general, the people, is, at first, because first I came from London and then went over to Scotland, so the people weren't too bad, at first, but obviously after living in this country for a while, you obviously then you see the good side, and you obviously see the bad side as well. And obviously that's when I sort of knew what racism was, because obviously then I never even knew that what was racism. I never even knew the word that even existed, but that's when I sort of understood the terminology, and like, okay, there is difference in color, there is difference in that, there is difference in ethnicity and all those things. So, so that's the part I would say that was scary. But apart from that, the culture mixing, the difference between culture and how everyone do come together, I do feel like it's it's good, and you get to meet different people. That's how I get to meet you guys,
Yeah.
I met to get to meet another Nigerian, an Indian, a Kurdish, so it's all good.
But that's the thing about this country, is that you get to meet that diversity that comes together. I mean, the media might portray a lot of racism and this person is divided. Everybody has their own views, but at the end of the day, we still come together. I mean, like ourselves. I mean, there are different opinions that we have, different religions that we believe in, but we still can come together and have our own conversation and our own political views or points, but we still, respect each other at the end of the day, which is what we hope for everyone else.
You see, this is the misconception. It's like, oh, only Europe does this. This has been happening for thousands of years in Africa, in Asia, in all these other countries as well. It's just, it's not necessarily about black and white. It will be different religions, different races. Like in India, it's the most populous Muslim country, and there's 200 million of them. They're like in comparison to 1 billion people. So we've still got like Jewish people, Christian people, white people, black people. We've got all these different colors, and the perception, even I know in Nigeria, it's just there's so many different types of cultures and stuff that it's not necessarily. I think we like to pretend in England that we've got our own little culture, and yes, we do kind of mesh well, but countries have been doing it for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah. Yeah, that is actually that's true. Like, what do you want? What do you have to add to that, Emmanuel? Like, what do you think?
Well, I don't disagree. Definitely, I think human beings everywhere have to really get along with ourselves, and it's funny and sad at the same time that every year we see new technological improvements and in creations, but we still face very ancient problems of someone simply not getting along with somebody else because of the difference that they have. And I just wonder when we'll begin to take that seriously and really focus on that instead of focusing on distractions of.
Yeah. It's the divide and conquer mentality. We had somebody on our podcast that we did for Beyond the 90, quite famous in Leicester, like a ex-footballer, but he was like brought up in Leicester. And we were going through one of the kick it out polls. I've just got it here, but it's like in the grounds, even before lockdown, there was from 2019 to 2020, like racism and racism chants and stuff were up 42%. Anti-LGBT stuff was up 95%. And I think 30% of all people in the crowd were hearing like discrimination or something responses. So it is kind of on the rise, but I think in general, the trend is coming down and down. It's becoming more not acceptable to have these opinions. But the what I want to do is I don't want to shut these people down, because if you say shut them down, they're going to go, oh, well, they're kicking me out because I'm right, rather than because I don't want to challenge them. The way I think we have to do it is by just kind of challenge them and go, well, why do you think that? Why is this a way that is why is this a way that is discriminatory? And people don't even, I think people in their own heads, everybody, even the fundamental people, think that they are right, but it's just kind of tapping into why and bringing logic and reason into this, because I think that's where it all comes from in the end.
Yeah.
I really believe that we need to try and understand people's perspectives, and like you said, if we try to shut people off their views and the fact that we don't agree with their views, it will not be very sustainable going forward, because it won't stop them from thinking that way, and it could actually lead them towards some kind of extremism, and who knows. So it's best to try and understand people's views and with them. And empathy is also very key, because I believe people have complicated reasons for whatever they think, and in a lot of these situations, people are really just trying to find a kind of belonging in the world.
Yeah, because it's difficult. The thing is, right? It's the people who are not the victims, but the people who are being racist or making racist comments are really the older generations. Now we can't help them out, but the younger generations are the ones during education they can be sort of taught and given lessons to. The only difficult thing is really kids shouldn't really be taught. Well, they should be taught about racism, but what I mean is they shouldn't really be something that should be a concern about, because they are always, especially younger generations now, they have this mix of different religions, different color, ethnicity, or different backgrounds, and they all come together during school, and the education system needs to improve on their mindset when it comes to whoever has a different background, they can still get along like we did. So it's really important that the young, it will take a very long while. It's not going to be a next day solve, or it won't resolve in one day or 1 year. Probably take sometimes decades. But it's just that once they start the process of setting up a new environment for these kids, then in the future, I'm sure there will be someone out there who will be so-called racist, but the environment will help that person to say, look, what you're doing is wrong. Whereas right now, everybody thinks, some people are supporting others who make racist comments. And it's just right now, it doesn't seem like it's going to be resolved so soon. It will just take time.
Yeah.
I think makes a person educated.
What was that? I didn't
What was
hear.
that?
What do you guys think makes a person educated? What makes a person?
Educated.
Enthusiasm to learn, obviously.
Yeah. That's a good point. And also for me, I think to be open-minded, to be open-minded, to be able to receive new information, because what I feel is that most people nowadays, they tend to already have their own opinion. So if they've formed their own opinion, then that's it. They don't necessarily think that they can learn anything else. They just feel like, okay, I know what I know, and what I know is probably right. Not even probably, it is right, and and that's it. They won't obviously go out there to have a discussion with people they might disagree with, to then learn something new, And I think that's the main problem with today's society, basically, that we've got all the technology that gives us the ability to be able to come together and understand each other, but the fact that we just aren't as open-minded as we need to be is what's sort of limiting everyone, and what's sort of constantly causing this conflict with each other, basically. Because even if you go in America now, that they're practically having a civil war, it's all just due to the fact of, obviously, we've got racism, we've got the people who disagree with Trump and people who like Trump, all those things. Instead of them to all be like, okay, we're fighting each other, we've got a civil war, let's sit down and try and speak to each other and see, okay, how can we come to a compromise and just get everything sorted? That's not being said. What they're using to try and solve their issue is by fighting each other and killing each other, and and that's not getting anywhere. So that's sort of what I think, is the problem, really. Yeah.
I think it's a bit complicated though, because I think we are probably the most open-minded generation there is, because certain issues that were there even 50 years ago, when it comes to gay people getting married, when it comes to certain things, there's been a lot of open discussion about that. But at the same time, a lot of the truths that are coming out, because I'm currently reading, rereading a Carla's Native book that I was talking about, I think last time Manny was on. So I'm rereading it again, but there's a lot of stuff that they've mentioned when it comes to the education system, where if we look at the history that we learned it all from a Eurocentric perspective, where it's all, we look at 1066, and then we look at Henry VIII, Tudors, Victorians, World War II was bad, and slavery was bad. And there's a whole other bit that was missed, and a lot of it gets brushed over as well. Or even the whole thing about, we touch on Martin Luther King, but we don't say why he was assassinated, or what. They just say he was assassinated, and that's that. And there's a lot of subtle things that happen along the way. I'm currently reading something about, there was a load of documents there's a load of records from 1600s in India and South Africa that was kept about the British Empire. And even in the British Empire, they were so disgusted in what was they had, they burnt and sell and discarded, buried at sea, millions of pages of documents, of records. So even we can't even have a whole honest conversation about, we learn all this stuff about Henry VIII and stuff like that, but when do we learn about why are there so many black and brown people in the UK? Why is a lot of the people from, what is the Commonwealth? Why did it exist in the first place? And things like this that we're just kind of taken for granted. And yeah, we know that other people, it's not just immigration because England is a better country. There is all sorts of historical and systematic reasons why that was the case. And I think we're seeing now that a lot of people are seeing the faults, and it was only the Operation Legacy only came about, the burning of documents and the drowning of documents only came about because of, what was it called? Because Kenya in the 1950s was like, no, can you at least be honest about what you did to our people? And they took the Kenyan government took the British government to court, saying, look, you had concentration camps, and you were torturing our people in order to, and these were British citizens as well. So there's a lot of miscommunication stuff there, where even if we try and talk about the British Empire now, which obviously is a negative thing, if you ask a British person, or I think there was a poll that was like 59% of people in general in the UK thought the British Empire was good, but that's only from a European perspective, rather than if you ask other countries who are actually colonized by it. So even with the British Empire, I currently look into it, it's super, super interesting, the documents that we do have, but there's a lot of horrible things that happen, but we tend to sweep that under the rug because that doesn't, because they essentially should get over it. But if that was the case, I was reading about it, they should kind of get over World War II for all the soldiers that fought at the same time, because that's the same thing. To a certain extent, if you're just telling people to get over what happens and that history is history. So there's all these. I wish it was as simple as education, and it will come down to education eventually. But I think there's a lot of stuff as well in the way, in regards to the system that's been put in place to only teach certain things and a certain way of thinking, where it's not, I think we were saying about before, it's not relevant to the society we live in today.
I definitely get what you're saying. But basically what you're saying is that, well, isn't that they should maybe educate people on the history of what's basically led up to why we are in the place we are.
If you want to teach about we're going back to Nigeria, but why do they not teach? There's a big majority of Nigerian Englishmen, or they're not taught that even people from the Caribbean or people from India the Commonwealth they are British citizens. And if that was the case, you were like, oh well, these are countries that were conquered by Britain, and they said you are part of the British Empire, you have a British passport, and therefore you are a British citizen. But that way isn't taught, or if you're less likely to fear someone if you know about somebody. So even when I was traveling and I met some German people, they were not surprised the fact that I was brown, because they knew about the history after World War II, that a lot of people from the Commonwealth came over to England to help out. So there is a big population of Indians, there is a population of Nigerians and Caribbeans and Africans in general. So that kind of thing would kind of, again, try and unite us. But I think they do it in a way where it's like, here and here, it is what it is. Because there's not a concept of they came here to help the country. There is this concept of they've just come over here because they need a better life.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what I mean? So that kind of the division, they're here because Britain is the better country, and it's like, if only it was so simple.
I definitely get what you're saying, basically, and I think it's maybe a plan of, it's a plan that I think that's been put down to just sort of divide people, because what you've just said, Neil, is like, if it can be implemented and it can be taught and people can understand, but I think if it was like that, then we would come together, and I think we would come together and work together, and I feel like that's probably what they do not want to happen, because if we are together, we are, as I say, we're stronger together. So, and if we're all united, then we're gonna turn our attention to the people that are actually doing the wrong, basically, that are actually in the wrong, and they don't want that. So the best thing they can do is just simply divide everybody, put everyone in a category that, okay, you're this, you're that, and sort of just have negativity over each category, so everyone can look at each other and be like, okay, it's because of you, that's probably why we're having this problem, and it's because of you that's why we're having this problem, and they start to fight, because
there's never a solution, is there?
Exactly, because if you even notice, like in the news, let's say if they wanna bring up let's say if they want to bring up immigration now, they'll bring up immigration, and they need to sort of like place the blame on a certain group of people. Then they're gonna say, oh, okay, the Europeans now are the one that's like people coming from Spain or whatever are the people causing the problem. We need to face them, and we need to obviously get them out of the country. If that's done, they're gonna, oh, actually now it's the Asian and black people now that's causing the problem. We need to get them out of the country as well. And then it's those cherry picking that sort of then causes that division, that people then fight against each other, and it's yeah, it's never sorted.
But when you talk about immigration, what's the first colours that comes to mind? It's not white.
Oh, of course not.
Do you know what I mean?
White people can't
even it's been in our perception. Immigration is darker skinned people.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. They've even, I think they've even now made that. It's crazy because they've even now turned immigration, even people from the Middle East now. You know, they've went into that country and completely destabilized it.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously they have to leave their country now.
It's not just that they have to leave their country; they have no home. It's all been destroyed. It's all in rebels, rebels. So they haven't got a home. So they have to go and find a new place that's safe for their families, especially those who have children. And the only place that can guarantee no bombs being exploded is the West.
Yeah.
Even though we've already had some terrorist bombings, but at the end of the day, it's just a more safer country than Syria, all those countries, Iraq. All these bombs being exploded every day, or even missiles and airstrikes from Turkey coming in. So the only place that they have to go to that's actually guaranteed safety is the West. And even then, when they go there, they even have to. Unfortunately, they regret it, but they have no choice because America, Britain, etc. The West have come in, destroyed their homes, and just left them without trying to solve anything.
Yeah, that's it. But obviously, I don't want to. Obviously, we can change like topics. But have you guys seen there is this thing on Netflix called Cuties? They've been talking about it. You got? Have you heard of it?
This is the first time, mate, for me.
Oh man.
What's it about?
Cuties. Oh, you've heard? Wait. No, Emmanuel, you've heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, oh, okay. Let me.
Okay.
Let me enlighten you all. Basically, it's a show that's been causing a bit of controversy because of.
Oh, as always, most shows have in the latest, haven't they? But yeah, sorry, man. Continue.
because I think it's a show that's causing a lot of controversy because it's sexualizing kids basically. It's like sexualizing 11-year-old kids, and it's the spoilers for anyone who wants to watch it.
No, now that you
spoiler alert.
I don't want to.
That wants to watch it. Basically, the story is like there is this girl who comes from a Muslim background, and obviously she wants to break out from the strictness of the the Muslim religion. That's the story of it. And what she then obviously looked into was to follow people like, let's say, Nicki Minaj, all of those like out there all of those out there celebrities and stuff. So she basically meets like this group of other girls who are already in that scene, and bear in mind they're all 11, they're all kids, like really young, just kids. And obviously she starts to change her image. And the problem people had with the film was the fact that they were having like these, like there's like dance sequences and all of these things that sort of focuses on the children's I don't even know how to even say it. Let's say if it's an adult now, it's an adult woman and she's dancing. Obviously a camera was zooming on either a bot or stuff like that, Okay. And that's sort of what they've now took and were doing with the kids. So the kids would be dancing and they made them dance provocatively, and then had the camera zoom in on places that it shouldn't be doing. Bear in mind, these kids are 11-year-old children, right? And it's just so crazy.
But a question as well. those friends of hers. I don't know if you watched the show. Is there one white person in it?
Yeah. There were,
So
yeah,
there
there
is
were,
no that
yeah,
mixture of racism or anything. It's just mostly that it's just these kids
yeah,
that's being used in a sexual
yeah,
I don't know, icon or something like that, rather than actually, these are kids and having a dream. Like, for example, the Bend It Like Beckham movie. Or what was it called? The Indian movie.
Oh yeah, is it that she's able
Yeah,
to play
bend it like
football?
Beckham.
It was Bend It Like Beckham,
Yeah.
yeah, where it was she's an adult and
Yeah.
she has this view of becoming a footballer. I'm not saying the same thing, but obviously these are kids, but they're used as want to be these sex models rather than something that's more like a footballer or something else like that, which has a better story and method to use rather than this sex thing, which is going on. I don't know why it's becoming so popular now and outselling, because even women are buying too much into cosmetics and stuff as well, which is outselling.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, but and that's then the problem with the film is that they take these kids and completely sexualize them. And there was this reviewer that I actually watched, and I was so surprised at what he said, because back in the days, if someone was to say that, you would be put in jail. So what he said is that, oh, the film was made so that you would look at those kids, those 11-year-old kids, and look at them and think, wow, they're attractive. I would actually, do you hear you hear what's coming out of my mouth? Yeah, I would actually take one of them to bed. This came out of a reviewer's mouth about that movie, and he's talking about kids. And I was so shocked that, wait, how is this going on? Like, how is this even getting the attention that it's getting? How is this supposed to be positive? And what's, for me, what it's telling me is that they've already put this kind of film out there, and obviously people are reacting negatively towards it. And I feel like they're trying to make it the norm to sexualize underage children, because the negativity people already had towards this film it's huge. But they would obviously, I feel like they would still do it again and keep doing it until we become numb to the idea of, oh, okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Because if you guys can remember, the first the first music video that consisted of Lady Gaga and Beyonce. I can't remember what's called. I can't remember what it's called anymore.
Was it Shakira and Beyonce or Lady Gaga and Beyonce?
No, yeah, Lady Gaga and Beyonce. That people were so like,
I don't know.
Telephone, I think Manny's.
Yeah, telephone, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that people were so shocked about it and saying, "Whoa, how this is so vulgar? That how can this be on TV?" And now we have music video like WAP. So we have music video like WAP coming from, is it Cardi B or whatever? And that's exactly.
But,
you see the jump from.
You see, I'm not mad at that because they're adults.
They're
allowed to do what they want.
Yeah, that's
like, and also there's a lot. I think there's a lot of pressure because she's black as well, and there's a lot of pride about that. So the media's going after her even more. But I do agree, like there is a notion of there was recently they're trying to normalize this kind of behavior. For sure, I do think there's a little bit of that in the media and stuff like that. So, and again, it works because we're talking about it. But it's important because if you look at the thing that's happened in Hollywood, in the Catholic Church and stuff like that, and in society, there have been these big cases of or Epstein, as you talked about earlier, the child sex trafficking and stuff like this. So essentially, and normalizing the way we look at children. And 11 years old, there was, I don't know about you guys, but there was no sexuality in I didn't know I just knew sex was a bad word. Like, do you know what I mean? I just thought it was a bad word that you're not supposed to say. And you're not supposed to say that around your parents, stuff like that. But I didn't know what it was, but it was just kind of a word that was a naughty word. So you kind of use it with your friends and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's so bizarre now that they are trying to put this idea into children's head that that you need to know what sex is. You need to be able to. I don't even get it. It's just I'm just wondering, like 50 years from now, when we are old and we've got our own children and grandchildren, how would the world be in that stage? Like, what would be the norm at that time, you know, it would. I just can't. I can't imagine. It's just very, very bizarre.
Is what were they doing in TV shows and for example, you know, the diversity performance. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys know from Britain's Got Talent, which had this sort of bad comments and things about it. I thought it was a good performance, and they have the right to show what they want to, and they're trying to show obviously support to the Black Lives Matter. But what people are disappointed in is that it's a family TV show which have kids watching it. They don't want kids to think about racism
Yeah.
or what you're talking about in terms of sex and child trafficking and putting these fears into kids. Because right now that shouldn't be what they should be knowing about. Because at the end of the day, for example, when we were kids, we just naturally got along with everyone. We didn't know what racism or we were making jokes, you know, even whatever, you know, even if it was racist now, we were kids then, you know, whatever we said, it wasn't hurting anyone, or even if it did, it was just a bit of a banter. But now it's, you know, you've got to be careful with words you use, and even kids are afraid to even now speak to anyone, you know, whatever they say could be attacking someone's feelings. So it's the environment is becoming this sort of destruction rather than actual improving and making it more social. And the fact is that they're using kids as a sex symbol is disgusting, man. Even thinking of, you know, even saying it. Come on, like, give me a fucking break, man.
Yeah, I don't advise any of you to watch it, but obviously, if you wanna see what I'm talking about, you can see. I just skipped through it.
No, it's like, you know, I don't, because the thing is, it makes me like my stomach is crumbling, you know, it's not feeling good even when you're mentioning it.
Yeah.
So now that people are actually even watching it, I don't know, probably they didn't even know what it was about. They just thought, oh, there's a huge hype about it, let's just watch it maybe. And then watching it and then, you know, not feeling good about it. Come on, man. Whoever directed it should get, you know, like prisoned or something. Like, what is this? Bring a dictator or someone, you know, put him in prison.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was I think it was a Zambian woman that did it, that directed the movie. It was, I think she was, is it Zambia or Zimbabwe? I can't remember. Apparently she said she's trying to show the world how obviously sexualizing kids are wrong. But obviously you can do that, but you don't need to necessarily say, okay, let me show you how killing is wrong, and then you start killing people.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, how does that work?
They then say in the end of the film, you then say killing is wrong after killing so many people in the film.
But the name as well, Cuties. I've not watched it. Just to clarify,
yeah, even the name.
Exactly. The name is if you really wanted to, it's essentially giving pedophiles a music video.
Yeah,
essentially.
That's exactly it. That's what people have been saying. It's like what they just literally did is say, hey, pedophiles, you've got a video, you can do whatever you want to. They can literally go, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine them saying this. Like, how is this even normal? How is this normal? Like, in a time when if you were to say that, like, oh, if you're a pedophile, you don't even feel comfortable saying that word because it's a terrible word, and people that should be put in prison, or even, I don't even want to say it, but killed, because it's
not even killed, just taken to a psychological home and taken care of. There are ways to treat them. What I'm thinking is maybe this movie, what you're saying, if that woman thinks is wrong, maybe it's a test to find who's pedophile, you know, who finds this movie attractive, then you know, get him and put him in a psychological home. Probably that's what they're trying to do. Because it doesn't make sense, man.
I know. It's a bit crazy, man. I just usually just wonder, like, what the world is coming to, you know, and how it's gonna be in the future, what the new normal would be like, how things are just gonna turn out. You know, I feel sorry for my grandkids.
Worry about your children first, then you're crazy. Oh man.
it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be terrible because my parents used to tell me that because when they were young they were like, wait, because obviously all the things that are normalized now, back in the other days, it seemed impossible. Like I'm sure back in the day, I think they used to say, for a woman to show her leg was taboo. Like just like an ankle or just a leg. It's like, whoa, how can you do that? Like it's important. It's something that was frowned upon. So now in our time, you have OnlyFans, man.
Oh no, I mean OnlyFans just women having pictures of whatever they like. Look,
Exactly.
it's freedom of expression. You know, look, it's fine, okay, but just don't put it out into the World Wide Web environment where kids can access it. All right, that's what I don't want. You know, I don't want to be a 10-year-old accessing things like that. I don't want to know that. You know, it should be for look, if you're gonna keep it out, there are sites you can post it on, but just don't put it onto the Instagram, easy access social medias. Just think about who's actually watching. Do you really want kids to be looking at that? Come on.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true. Like this. Have you guys heard of Belle Delphine on YouTube? If you
Well,
guys
sorry.
find that, there's this YouTuber. She's called Belle Delphine, and
I
if you
haven't heard
type
of it. I don't know.
if you type
Bell
on
just
YouTube
I
right,
have, unfortunately.
yeah, if you type on YouTube right now, you see the content she's posting. You even wonder how YouTube haven't banned her videos yet.
yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And imagine, obviously, kids are on YouTube. You know, you've got kids, they tend to use YouTube, right? And if they stumble across those videos, and that's it, you've just sort of like opened their mind to stuff they shouldn't know at their age, you know. Because imagine a 10-year-old just realizing, oh, that what is this? This is what sex is. This is what this is. This is what you've just like ruined their innocence, basically. You've taken away their innocence and you've just exposed them to stuff they shouldn't necessarily know about. So yeah, but yeah, have you got anything to add to that, Emmanuel? Have you seen?
To respond to what you said, you're worried about the future and um, how it will be for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only way we can deal with this situation is by preparing our kids for it, and by that I mean teaching our kids about what exists out there and what is right to follow, what is right to think, and giving them a good understanding about sex, pretty much, and every other issue that they are most likely going to be misled about in the world. I think if we kids and fail to talk about that and just hope that one day when they're older, they will magically know about it and they will magically know about how best to live their lives afterwards. It's just unproductive.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like the productivity, the curiosity is always going to be within kids. They're going to wonder what this is, what this is. All we need to do with, I think, kids or in general, just have that open dialogue so they feel comfortable enough in order to ask us these questions, even if they are stupid. Because a lot of the kids' questions are, for us, just why is the sky blue, what this, that, and the other. But they will wonder about other stuff. But at the same time, they do kind of know that if people want to do what people, there's kind of a normalization where we're not bothered about what other people are. We're just like, it is what it is. But again, this curiosity, a lot of our parents, especially my parents' stuff, it was more of the mentality of we don't talk about it and the issue will go away. When that's not necessarily the best, even though it's awkward to bring up, not talking about the issue is not the right solution.
Yeah.
Because the issue exists, obviously. I mean, you could raise a child, you could even stop the child from going out and interacting with the world. That's not sustainable. You're not going to do that every day, and you're not going to do that for the rest of their lives. They're going to be exposed to the world at some point.
Yeah.
I think
that's an example of, like, especially from a feminine perspective, that's a toxic femininity where the mother wraps themselves too much around the child and kind of mollycoddle them into something. No, you can't see this. It's dangerous. I will protect you. So that kind of exposed them to a certain extent, but being open to discussion and things that have actually happened as well. So I totally agree, Emmanuel.
Yeah. Wow. That's definitely true. Yeah.
And also, Febby, just a little one.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff is out of our control.
Yeah.
So like you're worried about things that are going to happen in the generation, stuff like that. We can just do what we can do.
Yeah.
At the same time. So this kind of anxiety of worrying about all this stuff that we think is going to be a lot worse than it actually is, in the same way that when you think about, when you were going to be our age, when you were like 12, we're going to think we're old and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff just happens over time.
Yeah.
As long as you're creating like an open and honest dialogue about it, I think there's no problem with it at all.
Yeah. That's definitely true. Yeah. Did you guys see the now that obviously it seems as if we might go into a lockdown 2.
Lockdown 3 for me, bro.
It's 3 for Neil, yeah.
Because now that obviously it seems like we might go into another nation lockdown, because I think Israel has already gone into lockdown 2 already. They've got their second lockdown already. And to be honest, what do you guys think about the way the government is handling it? Do you think they could handle the situation any better than they are now, or do you think they're failing to do so, or like what do you guys think about how the government is currently handling the virus situation?
Well, I think we could have stayed in lockdown longer.
Really?
When the first announcement for the lockdown to be called off was out, there were still new cases being announced, and of course, these are, with every new case, it's just a small fraction of what's really out there, and they obviously knew that they were going to have even more cases, especially if you're giving people the liberty to go out and interact even more with people, and you're still having cases. That only means that cases are going to be multiplied. So I don't think the government can really act surprised that we need another lockdown. I think they should have seen it coming.
Yeah.
So
they probably prepared it, didn't they?
I feel that we should have stayed in lockdown longer, pretty much, and should have been discouraged from traveling abroad as well for tourism. You didn't see the point of that, because there's not a need. You don't need to go abroad to Spain.
Yeah.
Around and bring.
That's true. That did ruin Spain.
Yeah, basically, even Ibiza and all that. But what I'm thinking is that the government's so concerned about currency. I get it, being in a broken economy when you're already planning Brexit. I get that, it is something of a huge concern. But if they, like Emmanuel said, kept it longer, the lockdown, or they didn't get kids back to school, and then they didn't advise people to go to restaurants, or just, things like the eat out to help out, or, for example, the flights reopening so soon, and traveling, and people going to the beach and not being fined. People are like, well, if you're putting rules down that we can break and you can break, then I can go ahead and break even more rules, because they got a new rule out which is just stupid. I don't get it.
Club 6.
S Club 6, or you're not allowed X Club 7 or whatever they're calling it. Look, okay, if you're gonna put that rule down, then it doesn't apply to weddings. So weddings, which is even worse, because people from all around the world come together for that wedding. So you're already putting a lot of lives at risk. Funerals, which are already, those who have unfortunately died from the virus, are held somewhere that haven't even had funerals. So I don't know what the funeral would be. Probably, other consequences. That still should be, unfortunately, I know it's a very sad and emotional moment for that person passing away, but you still have to hold it. It's not the time for it this year. And then, all these other events, like the sports events, it's okay for people to come together into stadiums and things like that. It's like, come on, man. Just if you really care about this lockdown, just do a 2-week full lockdown. Let's just get it out of the way. But they're just delaying things and putting
I don't think it's as
towns in
simple as that
lockdown.
one. But
No, I'm not. No, bear in mind, I'm not saying it's simple. But what I'm saying is there are ways that they can deal with it. But they just, I don't know why it's becoming such a problem. They need to find and actually take action against those who are breaking the law eventually.
Well, yeah, they've actually announced a number of loopholes as well recently. So they said as you were saying, there was a group of 6 they're not allowed in public unless you're doing something like what are they called? Pigeon shooting. I forgot what it's called.
That's just ridiculous.
That they can do up to 30. So they're obviously showing.
Come on.
Yeah, so they're obviously showing for the high. It's one rule for them, one rule for us. So I agree with a couple of things that I wouldn't have wanted that gig of trying to control Britain during the coronavirus, and it's easy to pick apart stuff they have done. I think they went into lockdown a bit too late, in my opinion. They should have gone earlier. They should have followed along with Germany, with other European countries, and even gone ahead of the curve. Look at the way that New Zealand, obviously they're a bit close to China, but lockdown, everything's secure. Obviously the population is smaller and stuff as well. We weren't prepared for it and we suffered for it. However, I'm not the biggest fan of the government, but at the same time I feel like they've done some of the right things in the right way. But at the same time they're trying to make people understand that it's like the help out to eat out. I get it. In principle, everybody quite enjoyed it. But why was that a thing? We should have made it more... that should have been applied to deliveries. Because that's a way that people can control the restaurants and cafes and stuff still get the money. But and the government subsidize it, but you can still have it at home. And so you're not encouraging people to go out and meet each other. And people do want to go out. And I totally get that. People will. But at the same time... it's definitely it's a tough decision, but I think we haven't handled it the best, and the old guard of the countries like us and the Americans and stuff like that, the way that our old mentality has been compared to other countries and the way they've dealt with things shows that where their priorities lie, and it's not about helping other people. Yeah, the ones just dropped. I think we'll go back a bit.
Yeah.
But it'll join again. It's happened before. It's one of those things where I wouldn't have wanted the job, but at the same time, I'm not sure what we could do that much better. But it's a weird one. Like you were saying, it's a good. We've done the right things and put them in the right places. But I think this is just a new version of life we have to adapt to, and it's sped up the version of AI, as I keep talking about. It's sped up what the investment there is into companies, and that investment is away from people into businesses, and they're not needing businesses to join. They don't need humans to run the businesses as much as they used to, and the technology behind that is going on quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah. That's definitely true. I feel like Boris Johnson is a bit unlucky, as he obviously became prime minister and then is hit with all the task of obviously this pandemic, the virus and everything. But what I think is, I feel like if they want to actually deal with this virus, or if they want to deal with this pandemic, they need to be if it is as serious as they've been saying it is, and they've been saying it's really serious. If they want to have a lockdown, they need to be serious about this lockdown and actually do it properly. Because the way they are doing it right now is, okay, we have the lockdown and then we sort of not do it properly, and it makes it ongoing, and it keeps like this. I feel like the way they're going right now, this virus, if they can't find a vaccine or anything, it will take years. I don't even think it's not going to end this year. It's not going to magically disappear by the end of 2020 and say, the virus is going to be like, it's the end of 2020. I've done my business. I'm heading out. It ain't gonna be like that. It's gonna keep going from years to years until they find a way to somewhat isolate the virus and completely just isolate it to a point where it would be maybe just one person or two person that would have it, and try and get to a point where it's gone. So if they want to actually have a lockdown, I think maybe a proper strict lockdown. Like, I obviously, if you look at China, they are they even having any lockdown anymore? Because the initial lockdown was so strict. Obviously, it's a communist country, but they felt like they needed to deal with it as fast as possible. But it was so strict that
but there was a lot of lies at the China. We don't know the actual numbers about China as well, so there is a downside to play devil's advocate to that. Yes, they have dealt with it well, but it wouldn't have come out in the first place if they dealt with it with a few cases. Another example, obviously, everybody's looking to New Zealand in the way that things are turned over, and the fact they had 0 cases and they were like considered clear. Again, they were still strict on the borders, but they found out that actually because they were importing meat, the coronavirus actually come through when they imported meat into the country, because coronavirus can stick very heavily to mammals as well. So I think there was a cat that caught corona, and also there was, if you look at, especially in America and I think in the UK as well, there was a load of bacon factories and chicken factories and stuff. It was transmitted to these animals and then spread massively, because obviously they're in conditions where factory farms where they're literally next to each other, and it spread from one to the other very quickly. And then even though the workers were social distancing, I think there was one plant in America where 1/3 of all people had corona. And it was massive. So even in New Zealand, where they had these strict laws, they think that it got through because they didn't even let anybody in the country, but it got through with the meat industry.
Wow.
So I thought, so because of that, and if you think about it, the way that animals are kept in factory farms and stuff like that, it's literally a breeding ground for viruses. If a virus gets there, what you're doing, you're holding there's a reason why football stadiums are shut, because if one animal, one person has it, and you're cramming all these people into a tight space, especially if it's a closed roof stadium and stuff like that, the virus just goes around and spreads really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So that's one area that I think that people have kind of missed out on, the fact that this can be transferred to other animals as well. I think not dogs, but other mammals, and especially chickens and pigs. It can be transferred to a lot as well.
Wow. That's mad. Yeah. So have you got anything to say, Manu?
Well, I'm just thinking about the Chinese food I enjoyed last night. Do I have to root? Do I have to?
Oh, it's a Chinese kitchen.
Well, I'm not in Coventry, so it's not.
Oh, okay.
Kind of sad. I guess I start boiling my meat now. Right. Because from what we're saying, we really don't know what's in the food that we buy. And when we were in lockdown, I ordered food a couple of times, and I put it in the microwave for a while just to
make sure
get it really hot. But I don't know if it worked. I don't know if it killed the virus, because I haven't studied these things, man. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know, and you can't see it. You know, this thing could be all over your bedroom. Like,
imagine.
Spread around your bed sheets. Like, what the hell, man?
Imagine it.
Make it sound like jam or something. It's like spilt toast in your room.
But you don't know, that's the issue. You know, it is scary, and it's true. We don't know how to say. Nobody knows how to say how to deal with it, right? I think the first people who should have who announced it as a pandemic was really late, because all these countries had this virus from the WHO, World Health Organization, announced it as a pandemic very, very late, like in March. And this virus has been spreading like nothing from November. And a lot of countries, Iran, all these countries were having these cases. We didn't announce any particular number of cases yet, but it obviously came into UK much sooner, because it can take weeks for someone to realize they have the virus, or they can never realize they have the virus. It's one of those viruses that's very strange. You can have it with you. It could be, on your T-shirt, wherever, but you may not have any symptoms. So it's very difficult to find out unless you have actual symptoms, and then it becomes a case. So someone could have it that gives it to you, and you won't know.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is just, I'd say, try and build up your immune system by eating healthier. I think that's what we've said before as well.
Yeah.
That's what we can't stop people from getting into your system, or stop the corona from getting into your system. Obviously, social distancing, hand sanitizing, but also I think a little bit is getting out, trying to once a week and getting into the air a little bit more. Because I'm sitting at home, it's not helping building your immune system. Because you're essentially you're just having that same air over and over again, and also just trying to eat more healthy, eat more kind of, especially fruits and vegetables, of things to help build your immune system up. Because that's something that if your body doesn't come into contact with it, it will know how to fight it. And if you've seen before, when you've got existing conditions like diabetes or anything that essentially is a poison to the body is the immune system is fighting that always. And then if this thing comes in, then it's trying to fight two different battles. So trying to reduce these symptoms or increase your immunity is probably the best thing.
That's definitely true. And also I was thinking that because obviously because of the virus, people at uni, because my brother now is just starting university, and it's like he's not having a freshers week.
Are they disappointed or something about it? Yeah.
What was that?
Are they disappointed that they don't have a freshers?
For him, I'm not sure. Maybe he is. I'm disappointed for him because I'm like
yeah, but that's not the priority. The priority isn't freshers. I get what you mean, but I'm more like, for example, my sister went back recently, and she was told she's staying in halls to quarantine for 14 days in her room before meeting everybody.
Wait, what?
That's
and
crazy,
I was just like, in her room.
Well, you might as well not go to uni then just say, I'll come back in 14 days.
Yeah, so stupid. Like nobody, and I think there's one thing the government are trying to blame young people for it as well. But I think that's just because the Conservative voter base isn't with young people; it's with the elderly. B, it's an easy scapegoat. C, the things that they put in place. If you look at the majority of essential workers, you look at the majority of people that are helping out and the essential workers, I think over half of them are young people between 18 and 35 that are most at risk. But it's easy to put out that the other people, the young people, they don't care. They're doing this, they're doing that. And so the blaming of young people is not it's helpful for them because that's what their voter base wants to hear. But I don't necessarily know if that's the truth.
Yeah, that's 100% not the truth. Because if you look at it this way, like during when they're having having all this protest all around the country, obviously for the BLM, cases went rising.
Exactly.
No new cases were introduced. Nothing was happening, and then all of a sudden, now it's all young people's fault. I would expect that when there were like protests all around the country, things should have ramped up so much. Like cases should be, I know it should be everywhere, but nothing. And now it's suddenly saying that we're getting like a lot of cases coming through. So to me personally, it's like, who do we trust? Like, do we really trust the information that's actually being told to us, or are we being lied to, or something? That I'm not sure.
A lot of people saying, this is a hoax, this virus. I mean, if it's a hoax, then why is the whole world getting this virus and a lot of people dying from it? It can't be a hoax, obviously. It is real.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I don't know if it's just a psychological fury they want to implement into their own brains just to make them more comfortable to go out and fuck up more lives. I don't know what it is, but it is real, man. Just wake up, okay? It is real. A lot of people, I don't know why they think it's a joke. They just go out there. Oh, I'm gonna go on holiday. I don't need a mask. Why am I told what to do? Well, because you're not, smart enough to think for yourself. So there has to be these rules out there to help you think. No, I'm smart enough. Well, clearly you're not, because you're not wearing a bloody mask, are you, mate?
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from, and a little bit of me is thinking that maybe it might be a biological weapon, because considering how this is the conspiracy side going on.
Oh man, all these conspiracy theories, man. But it might, you know what? It might be. It might have been an attack because, for example, remember before this virus came out, China was going through a protest. And the government were very weak and they couldn't attack. And they were still attacking these protesters, but it was getting into the media and they were, the world was getting into their attention. So there are rumors that they actually threw out this virus so they can, forget the protest and just say, well, we do actually care about you because we're trying to help you here. We're not ignoring you, and we care about your health, and hence this virus came out. Now it's spreading around the world, and it's obviously to this degree that we're in today.
I don't think that's the case though, because if that was the case, to try and kill off the young people, I don't think they'd find a virus that kills off the young people, not the old people. Because you look at all the people that are the elderly people, the richest people, they're not young like us. They're all older. They've built their businesses and stuff, and they've built their contacts. This is something that affects them the most. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it's got massively reported, is because of the high turnover of stuff at the moment, and the fact that they're the biggest victims as well.
Yeah. I guess it. Like Emmanuel, like in Nigeria now, are you keeping up with what's going on in Nigeria with the virus? Because I feel like they ignored it or something. Like,
Well, I followed it really at the start, but I'm not following it as much. And also the reports about the news being false, and there being more cases than were actually being reported. But it seems like life has gone back to normal to a great extent. In my city, a lot of churches have opened up again.
whoa.
It's only that I'm aware of where this whole thing is taken very seriously, because everybody's asked to wear a face mask.
Yeah.
And for others, they still do it, but it's not as
What serious?
not serious.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that I'm seeing all of this from different screens. I'm not, so
Of course.
I don't know, and I know that.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. No, I get you because even for me, I was looking that, I was saying that, okay, why in Nigeria? Why aren't there, why are there not many cases? Obviously they are, and obviously the way the news was saying it before was that, oh, when it hits Africa, it's gonna be terrible. That we need to watch out for Africa, because once it hits there, because they don't obviously have all the equipment. They don't have all of this. They don't have enough of the equipment. So once it hits there, it's gonna be the worst. So, and doesn't seem as bad as as the West is even getting it even worse than it is over in Africa. So, and I'm actually really surprised that.
I don't know if it's an environmental thing. I don't know if it has to do with. Or I remember just before the lockdown started, I was at a barber shop, and there was this Nigerian barber who was screaming and boasting out that black people were not gonna get telling everybody not to go into lockdown. It was so funny.
Wow.
But I really don't know why there aren't any cases. Maybe it's environmental, maybe it's biological.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's a combination of several things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true because
Whichever way, of course, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
No, it feels like it's sort of. It sounds a bit like the weather forecast. So, for example, we're in mid-September and we're getting a heat wave again. What's that all about? I've never heard of 29 in September in UK, man. What's going on there?
Global warming, bro. That's what happened. It's getting warmer. I swear, it's like this. It didn't even have snow this winter. It didn't even. I don't think it went into minus that couple of times. That many times even. It's getting hotter in the winter. It's getting hotter in the summer, hotter in the winter. It's just
hot everywhere.
Yeah.
Wait,
now, aren't we?
What was that?
I mean, we're experiencing things like this every year, because I'm pretty sure years ago there were so many comments from people about how unexpected the weather is, and this year,
Yeah,
probably going to be next year.
Yeah, I even think I think it snowed in Nigeria. Is it at some point? I don't know. Maybe it's fake
Well,
news, but they
it
said
does
it's.
snow in Nigeria or some parts.
Oh, really? Whoa, yeah, it did. Yeah. So yeah, maybe global warming is actually
It's getting crazy. I
yeah,
mean,
maybe we can't deny it anymore.
We can't. The majority of, I think, 97% of science agrees that it's actually happening.
Yeah.
But the reason why people are denying it is because the companies that benefit from people not knowing are the people that are causing the most global warming. So it's better to deny it, because otherwise restraints would come in place.
and then factories won't be able to make the products or in quantities that they would like for customers to purchase it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we just hope that we don't ever get flooded in the future. But it's not. But the problem is,
It's happening in parts of the UK though.
yeah, because they're saying
Nothing's been happening.
wow, because they're saying if global warming does actually continue and we don't do anything about it, the UK would be underwater like in the future, like in the very far future. The entire UK will be flooded like out the, is it Atlanta or I can't remember, but it would be underwater.
Atlantis.
Yeah, it would be underwater eventually. So, but
It's
we have that
interesting.
to look
I
forward
mean,
to.
it's difficult to find out, and I'm not sure. Did you guys hear about also just to point out of the way the Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh, for Trump.
Yeah. What's that about?
I'm
Is
telling
that
you,
for
the
real?
world.
Is it because 2020 is that shit? So instead of
No.
awarding it to COVID-19, which should actually win the award, they announced, a human who has to win it, and the worst person of the year after COVID is probably Donald Trump, isn't it?
I think what it is that it was a really far right person from Denmark that
No,
ended up voting for him. Sorry, man, you were going to say.
Norway.
What is it?
Was
Was
it
it
Norway?
Norway?
Okay, my bad. Got the Scandinavian countries wrong, but yeah, yeah. So at the end of the day, it means nothing because Barack Obama won it, and
Yeah.
I think if you're kicking immigrants out of the country, because under him Mexicans went back, that he was the biggest deportation of Mexicans,
Yeah.
I think, under any president. B, he commissioned the Iraq War. He continued the Iraq War. C, he commissioned drone strikes on innocent families and some potential targets.
Yeah.
So if he won it, Donald Trump's not the. It's a bit of a joke award anyway to begin with.
Yeah, definitely.
Femi's so pissed off he's going now. He actually has.
Poor guy.
Okay, but yeah, I think that one's. I don't know what you think, Manny.
I just think it's unfortunate, man. Because I think the award should go to somebody who is clearly more peaceful, and I don't think Donald Trump is peaceful.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this because I have any kind of bias against him, but when I watch the news and hear what he has to say about people and hear how eager he is to send the military on the road to, pretty much brutalize.
Yeah, I'm back.
I actually think they're watching somebody who is not president, because presidents have access to armed forces, and
there was rumors that it should have gone actually to Elon Musk for his his ideology on the SpaceX program.
What Elon Musk? Really?
Surely it should go to somebody that's actually some charity or something that's actually factually done stuff.
Yeah, well, my personal view would have been the guy who funded the after the World War veteran who raised quite a lot of money for NHS. He should have been nominated.
But that's not necessarily peace. That's not a peace prize. That's more of a charity prize.
Yeah, I understand, but at the end of the day, well, you can't. If you're going to add Donald Trump, then you could add him as well, isn't it?
Well, if you could add Donald Trump, you could get away with pretty much anybody at this point.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
You can nominate him for Personality of the Year. I think you give him that. Even though it's not ended yet. But I tell you what, even though I disagree with a lot of what he says, he's a king of manipulating the media. They fall for it every time. And he knows what he's saying is stupid. His media team and his production team are all about him saying stupid stuff because it gets them in the news. His publicity goes up. He's currently trending. It's like if you say hashtag Donald Trump, you're not even surprised. But companies would pay millions and millions of pounds for that level of publicity.
Yeah.
And he does it for free. So the stuff that he says, it's like the whole build the wall thing has gone completely quiet. Because
that's actually true.
you know what I mean? It's essentially how can I shock the media? How can I shock people even more? Whether he believes it or not is one of the things, but he just knows how to play it, and they just lap it up every single time. And we keep talking about him on this bloody show.
Yeah, he's a showman, isn't it?
Marketing genius. He is a marketing genius. Whether he's a genius or his team's a genius or what, he knows how to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And he knows how, and that's essentially what Musk has done as well. He's kept himself in the news for God knows that amount of time because obviously stuff's going on behind the scenes. But if he's in the news, negative or positive, it brings his stock up. Yeah,
that is very true. And obviously, I wish that who do you want? Obviously, in the American politics and whatnot, you've got Joe Biden and then you've got Trump. Who do you guys want? Actually, no, I don't even want to ask this question. It's too controversial, isn't it?
Is it? I want neither. Fuck that. They're my two options.
I think deserves the peace prize.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
I would give it to the Ghanaian pallbearers.
Paul Barris?
Yeah, those guys who were very popular at the start of the year. You know, the guys.
Is it the coffin?
Yes.
Yeah. The coffin ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was a good laugh.
No, what it is, it's the set. I think this is one thing in the West that they don't. Death is such a bad and negative thing, but especially in like the African countries and Asian countries, it's kind of this not celebration, but it's this, they had a good life and we're going to celebrate that. That kind of, and I know especially in Africa, it's like I think at any occasion it's acceptable to dance, and I think that's a really good. No, but honestly, it's a good mentality to have.
Because there are a lot of, well, for example, when a young person dies and the parents have to.
Yeah.
That's
bad. Yeah.
For people who die of old age, yes, they're
lived a long life. Yeah. They've lived a healthy life.
Had grandkids, were popular. Yeah, celebrated a lot.
Yeah. You're right. If it's a very unnatural cause and stuff like that, it's disturbing. You don't want to obviously dance in it, but it's part of every meme now. You know.
It's like those are the people you would want to bury when you're gone.
When they get buried, how would they be there for you?
Oh, that's a question. That's a good question. Probably when they go, maybe their spirits again, obviously.
That's long, innit?
That's a good one. But before obviously we finish the American election, I think once if a winner is decided after whoever the winner is, either Biden or Trump, I think a major civil war, it's a civil war that's worse than this is gonna happen, because there's already so much of a division that I feel like either the people that vote for Trump, the people that like Trump, and people that obviously want Biden to win, they're not gonna be happy with the results. You know, if Biden does win, then the people that obviously voted for Biden will feel a lot more empowered, and they would obviously go after the people that voted for Trump a lot more. And if Trump wins, hell is gonna break loose, because
is it?
Oh,
I think it's the Americans lose either way, They've both got, neither candidate sums up the actual majority of what Americans think.
Yeah.
And so it might be just the case of this is the thing that needs to happen in order for some sort of, every empire, the American empire has had its turn now.
Yeah.
Maybe just needs to kind of disappear into nothingness.
Yeah, I think China is sneaking up behind. I think China is coming in next. I think China. What do you guys think? I think China might be the next like empire. That they seem to be coming in just slowly, because even if you look at it, they are, even with, I think with TikTok, they are doing, why Donald Trump wants to ban TikTok is because apparently TikTok is like a listening app that gathers all the information of people and is listening to, is sort of taking in all people's information, basically what the NSA is already doing. So, and they don't want China to do it. So I think obviously China is sort of now monitoring what everybody is doing. And I think they are trying to compete for the next world power. I think China, they might be the next. Who knows?
Maybe, but I think China's kind of peaked a couple of years ago. I'm not sure how much further they can go, A, and B, it's a narrative that's been going on in Europe and kind of the West for ages, where if we do something, it's acceptable. If our companies do something, it's acceptable. If another company, if another country does something, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So a lot of that mentality of they can do this thing, but then when we have to enforce our ideas on them.
Yeah.
Do you think that Google and Apple and Facebook and stuff aren't doing that stuff already over in this country, over in America? It's just so just because China are doing it, it's not that much more trustworthy.
Yeah.
It's like the technology arm being bought over by Nvidia, and it's this huge fury that because it's American purchasing a British company, that they're going to access all the information, personal information that's UK, especially the fact that MI6 use that technology or chips, and they're going to have access to that information. It's going to cause a barrier that will be open, and it's sort of fear. But again, it's the same thing. If China brings in their technology and they have access to that information, you're giving them that access. What can be done is try and create a technology that's familiar with that. The only issue is the time. They don't want to spend that much time. They just rather use that technology that's already out there and just have it all over, get it in and set up as soon as possible, rather than taking decades or even longer than decades to build that technology that's already out there.
Yeah. And also obviously because everyone tends to go to China in terms of when they want to build anything, even if they want to build their phones and everything, they all go to China. So China kind of already has the blueprints of practically everything. So yeah.
That was their long-term plan. Their long-term economic plan was that.
But the thing about China is they how do you think they use the where do you think their knowledge comes from? Most of their knowledge comes from their students who go international to those countries to learn the education system. For example, in UK, in US, the very good global announced sort of known colleges or universities study, learn, and then goes back to China and creates those technologies. And whereas here they're just using whatever they have or ideas they create, or it takes a very long period of time because we're patient over there. Everything has to be done so quickly.
No, that's 100% true. And Emmanuel, like what I want to say as well, because obviously in our own, obviously that's what we fail to do in Nigeria, because we come here, obviously we read and we learn their way, we learn their own technology, but we don't take it back to our own home and try and build our own country. I feel like, and usually countries that tend to become powerful in a sense that once they were quite weak or poor and then they brought themselves up, usually they tend to use the method China does, where they would send out their kids, send out their young children, or send out their young adults to all around the world to learn everything from across the world and then bring all that knowledge back to our own home, which is what obviously a lot of countries that are considered poor, basically, or not as a third world country. That's what I feel like they tend to fail to do, because China at one point was considered a third world country. But they managed to bring themselves up to the point that they are now. They no longer sell DVDs on London anymore. So
Yes, I agree with what you said.
Yeah, that's
It's one thing saying it, and it's another thing acting it out as Nigerian. So the Nigerians I speak to who do not want to go back home usually have very valid reasons for not wanting to go back. Irrespective of the value of technological advancement and every other thing that we can talk about, if an individual is unhappy and pretty much miserable in the country, why would they want to go back? And also, if going back to their country would not be, or would be to the detriment of their own well-being and their own personal ambitions, then also why would they want to go back? So it's really challenging. And also there are people who go back anyway to try and implement these changes that we're talking about, and a lot of them end up going back. They end up going back to what they were meant to have moved away from. So, for example, corrupt practices. You go abroad and you learn about why corruption is wrong, and you gain an open mindset. And you go back home and you embrace corruption all over again just so you succeed.
Yeah, that's it.
Who do not want to do that, they end up staying here. So it's really complicated.
Yeah, I agree. It's like even Kurds who go out to exactly like that, learn theories and technology and try to go back to for example Kurdistan and use that knowledge. They don't use it. There's a lot of young graduates over there who don't have a job because there really aren't opportunities. They rather use someone with experience or someone who knows, their best friend is working in the government, who actually gives them more opportunities than a company who wants to take in someone young and teach them. All these young people in, for example, Kurdistan and probably other countries are there waiting to find a job, and they're just relying on their parents, and that's just very sad, even to this day and age.
Yeah, no, that's and I just think as long as all the third world countries, as long as we don't move away from the practice of like corruption and stuff like that, the country will never improve. Things will not change. It will always be the same. Also, and until the leaders of the country feel like, okay, we need to make our country better, and then they bring the people together and then sort out a plan and have everyone act on that plan. The country will always just be
Why do you call us third world countries?
Because I know I don't even know why I don't even know why I even say that. But it's because obviously that's a label that's been given to by the West. Obviously that's a label that's been given to everybody, which obviously shouldn't even exist. It doesn't exist. It's not. It's just a label that shouldn't necessarily even exist. But it's just the mindset of that's what we've been told for a very long time, that we've got the first world country, we've got the third world country. That's
the power, Femi.
I don't understand what it means. What does that even mean? Does that mean that
a developing country that's trying to get...
Every country is a developing country. It doesn't make
sense. Exactly.
What's the point of this hierarchy? There's no such thing as a developed country.
Exactly. Yeah. A country is just a country with people in it.
Any country that has improvements by the day or talks about how any sector can be improved is by definition.
Yeah, a developing country. Yeah, because a country never just stays stagnant.
Yeah, it's just it's a bizarre word they use, but they're trying to say that we US, UK, and all these other countries who are called
as us.
first world countries, we are at the top. These countries are trying to become like us. That's the whole point, the idea. They use it at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's to me, I feel like it's still that idea of obviously.
But I find that racist as well,
Yeah, it's like it's
racist.
kind of telling us that we're
I'm just
better.
looking at Wikipedia here,
Yeah.
and it's got the term third world arose during the Cold War to define countries that remained non-allied to either NATO or the Warsaw Pact.
Really?
So Canada, Japan, South Korea, Western Europe nations represent all the first world, while the post-Soviet Union countries, China, Cuba, and their allies represent the second world. The terminology was a way of broadly categorizing the nation of the earth, grouped based on political and economic divisions.
So it is still to divide and conquer. Okay, still to divide and conquer.
Pretty much.
They always do.
Wow, that's that's crazy. I think it's for them. It's a proven method that works. A method of that divide and conquer method is the one that it's a proven one that works. That's why even if for us, obviously we are foreigners, and obviously we're here now, we're British and whatever, and the idea of as you said, different racism is so complicated and everything. It's the fact that, or if you say, oh, I'm from this country, if you like, for me, never say, oh, I'm from Nigeria, or even if you say, oh, I'm from Kurdish, I'm from India, and all of those things, people from here, people from the West anyway, that are either the British people who would think, oh, you're from a third world country, so your country is probably not that good. Then they start asking, what brings you here? Did you come here for a better life? Why is obviously your country is not good enough for you, or your country is not that good. That's why you're here anyway. Did you live in a hut? I'm not even joking. I've had,
especially in Africa, especially when it comes to Africa, because I think Asia in general, I'd speak to kind of about like Asia and Middle East, has this different perception now because they've got money. Like if you look at the Premier League teams and stuff like that, their owners are from Asia and the Middle East and stuff like that, and they're just pumping lots and lots of money into the teams. So Asia's kind of got away a little bit from that, but I still think that Africa is perceived like that in the world, in European. Not saying there's no problems at all, but I still think Africa is still perceived as this kind of mud hut almost. The whole continent is like that.
Yeah, but the problem is that it's not though. It's not, because obviously it's like you've got places like even like in Nigeria and Abuja now. That's a city that's doing very well right now. But I think I don't know who told. Is it you? Is it you the one that even told me? Yeah, that you you can go there now, make your investments. It's a place that's growing.
Capital city, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So obviously, I just feel like they just want to keep painting this idea, especially for Africa, that it's a country, it's a continent that will always need help, that will always be dependent on the West. So we need to always keep helping them. We need to always keep helping them. And if you even look at it, they tend to use people from Africa as like scapegoats. Like even the vaccine now that they're gonna try and create for the virus, they're gonna go over to Africa and then use it on them, and all the side effects and everything will happen to people in Africa, and it won't be even counted, because they'll be like, oh well, it's their collateral damage for the greater good, basically. So we're being used as scapegoats, and then given them the idea of that we need to protect these people, while at the same time stabbing them in the back, is kind of what I feel Africa is basically. It's become the dumping ground of the world. What
about these charities? Have they actually helped anyone in Africa? As they say, oh yeah, they show these kids who walk in, they don't have water. Well, you say that for flipping 20 ever since I was born.
Yeah,
they've been making these charity videos, and we need to help them, and they make all these billions, trillions of pounds. But who the hell's making? Who at the top is like? Remember when they say there is no profit for those companies, right? Those charities, but there are people employed in those
Yeah,
charities.
yeah.
So how do they make the money
Yeah.
to give to those for those salaries?
It's all
Bonuses.
yeah. Apparently all those charities, all the money they make, when they raise all the money, it's split amongst themselves. Then they will pay the cameraman, the people. All it's not necessarily going into because if it was, I swear poverty would have been wiped out by now.
Yeah.
But of course, it's just the money is
We
just
don't wipe out poverty, but they will help
yeah,
thousands of lives at least
yeah.
by now.
yeah. And
I don't hear anyone saying, I'm become rich. I've got £1 million house or something like that from Africa. It's always they're very poor. There's nothing. There's no resource. There's nothing like that to live by.
And that's the idea I feel like that pains me the most. That's the idea they keep putting out there for people to believe that, for everyone to believe that. If you mention the continent Africa, you instantly think, they're just poor people that don't even know what freaking TVs look like because they are so uneducated and stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? Why are they painting this idea of Africa being a continent filled with people that don't know what they are, that don't necessarily know what they are doing, and it really pisses me off. But obviously, I don't want to say there's nothing someone can do about it, but I just don't like the idea. Yeah, what do you think, Emmanuel?
I said there are definitely things we can do. I think that when we tolerate these representations from a particular part of the world as lesser than people from the others, obviously a first world and a third world and a developed world and a developing world. I think what these things do is create a hierarchy of human life. So some human lives become less valuable than some others.
Yeah.
And that I don't know. I don't even think you need to be religious to see problems with that thinking.
Yeah.
We can't continue accepting these terms, calling people from a particular country or race with certain terms that distance them from us and put us in a position that looks better, and just pretty much live blindly without asking these questions and really having value for the dignity of all people.
Yeah. No, that is it, definitely. That's definitely there's the song "Heal the World." If you listen to the lyrics, it's not a good lyric. If you actually listen to the lyrics properly of that, is it the "Heal the World, let them know it's Christmas"? The
Michael
lyrics
Jackson.
is it no is it the Michael Jackson? I don't think
the various of artists.
Came together. The lyrics ain't good, man. I was listening to the lyrics. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, basically, the lyrics is saying that at least it's them that's suffering and not us. I was like, yo. Basically, they're saying that okay, the people that are obviously going through the famine and all of those things during that time that the song was made, at least it's them that's having the problem, and it's not us. That's in the song. And the song is loved by many. I'm like, wait, why has that got to be in a song that you're promoting to bring about unity and positivity? Why is that in a song like that? But yeah, it's just that I don't that idea of that is a smear campaign. I see it as. That they're just trying to smear freaking an entire continent, and they've been doing it. I've even heard that I think there was someone I spoke to, even the name Africa, that's not the continent. It's not called Africa. It's the West that gave that name to that continent. It's not. It wasn't called Africa before, but they came in, scattered everything. And and here we are. Yeah, the same. That's what they're doing to the Middle East, where they come into the country, mess everything up, and then years and years into the future, the people that once lived in that country will be wondering that, oh, what was our history like? What did we have a history? Like, their history is lost because certain countries have come to bombard and destroy their history for them. So it's it's what they always do, you know. But yeah, have anyone got anything to add? We got so we can finish, or
To send a thumbs up to that.
send a thumbs up.
I think that'll be a good place to end. But yeah, Emmanuel, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a great chat. What are you saying? Sorry.
No, yeah, go on. Yeah, what's that? But I didn't quite catch you as well.
Oh, I was saying it's always good to be here with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here, man.
Yeah, same as well. Hopefully the next one we can have you and Ellis come on again. And Ellis give his long narrative.
It's Canada, right?
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know we enjoyed making this one. It's been a bit of a deep one this time, but yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. And make sure to subscribe for next time, because definitely more of this content coming. From me, Manuel, Dewan, Femi, we'll see you all later. So goodbye.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Yeah.